Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.
Monica sat alone in the Quartermaine living room, her trembling hands clutching a yellowed envelope that had been hidden for decades. The scent of old paper filled the air as she carefully unfolded the document, her eyes widening in disbelief. "No, this can't be right," she whispered, the sound of her own voice echoing through the empty mansion. Edward's portrait loomed above her, a silent reminder of all the secrets their family had buried. The original will, her original will, was in her hands, and it told a very different story than the one everyone believed. The fire crackled softly as the truth unfolded before her eyes, and the weight of it settled deep in her chest. Tracy entered suddenly, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. "Monica, what are you doing sitting there like a ghost?" she asked, arms crossed, suspicion already creeping into her voice. Monica looked up slowly, her blue eyes filled with both fear and resolve. "I found something that changes everything," she said, her tone firm but shaken. Tracy frowned, glancing down at the paper in Monica's lap. "What now? Another will? Because if I have to hear about one more Quartermaine revision, I swear I'll..." But she stopped mid-sentence when she saw the familiar handwriting. "Oh my God, that's your signature. Monica, where did you find this?" "In the old study," Monica replied, her voice trembling. "Behind the portrait of Alan. It was sealed in a box labeled with his initials. This is my original will, Tracy. The one before all the changes, before the fraud." Tracy's face blanched as she realized the implications. "Fraud? Are you saying someone forged your later will?" Monica nodded slowly. "Yes. And I think I know who." The air in the room thickened, the sound of rain beginning to fall outside the French doors. For the Quartermaines, truth was always buried under layers of manipulation, but this time Monica was determined to dig it all up. Meanwhile, at the Port Charles Police Department, Detective Chase was finishing a report when Anna Devane walked in, looking as sharp and focused as ever. "Chase, I just got a call from Monica Quartermaine," she said briskly. "She claims she's found evidence of fraud involving her estate." Chase looked up, curious. "The Quartermaines again? They never stop." Anna nodded. "She says she has the original document and suspects at least 3 people were involved in tampering with her will. I want you on this," quietly. Chase stood, grabbing his coat. "On it. If Monica's right, this could blow up half of Port Charles." Back at the mansion, Tracy paced as Monica called Ned, who was still in Europe finalizing ELQ business. "Ned, you need to get home," she urged. "It's urgent. Someone forged my will. I can't say more over the phone, but it involves people close to the family." Ned's voice crackled over the line, full of shock. "I'll be on the next flight out. Don't talk to anyone until I get there." Monica hung up, but the sense of danger didn't fade. She knew whoever had done this wouldn't go down quietly. Later that evening, Brooklyn arrived, her eyes widening when she saw Monica and Tracy standing over piles of old documents. "What's going on?" she asked cautiously. Tracy shot her a sharp look. "What's going on, darling, is that someone's been stealing from this family for years, and Monica's just found the smoking gun." Brooklyn's mouth fell open. "Wait, what? How is that even possible?" Monica sighed deeply. "My will was altered after Alan passed. Certain assets, including the hospital foundation funds, were diverted. I thought it was a clerical error. But now I see names, 3 of them, written in the margins of this original copy. They're not just random names. They're accomplices." At the police station, Chase laid the document on Anna's desk under protective glass. "Forensic analysis will confirm the age of the ink, but it looks authentic," he said. Anna's eyes narrowed as she read through the annotations. "Harris, Lynn, and McAllister," she murmured. "They all worked for ELQ at one point. This isn't just fraud, it's corporate theft." Chase leaned back. "You think Monica's life could be in danger?" Anna looked up grimly. When money and power are involved, Chase, someone always ends up in danger. The next morning, Monica awoke to the sound of breaking glass downstairs. Her heart raced as she grabbed her phone and crept toward the staircase. Two shadowy figures were rifling through the study, the same place she'd found the will. "Where is it?" one of them hissed. Monica gasped softly, her trembling hand covering her mouth. Before she could move, the intruder turned. Their eyes met for a brief, terrifying moment before they fled out the back door. Within minutes, Chase and Anna were at the scene, examining the shattered window. "They were looking for the will," Monica said shakily. "They know I found it." Chase nodded, picking up a small metallic object from the floor. "Looks like they dropped a keycard from a security firm in downtown Port Charles. We can trace it." Anna put a hand on Monica's shoulder. "You did the right thing calling us. But you need protection until we sort this out." Monica sighed, exhausted but resolute. "I won't let them steal what Alan and I built. Not again." As the investigation deepened, evidence began to mount. Financial records showed years of embezzlement tied to dummy accounts under the names of the three suspects. Anna moved swiftly, coordinating with the district attorney. Within days, arrest warrants were issued. The first to be taken into custody was Peter Harris, a former ELQ financial advisor. As Chase handcuffed him outside the Metro court, Peter sneered. "You have no idea what you're getting into. This goes higher than Monica Quartermaine." Chase raised an eyebrow. "Maybe. But for now, you're going to talk." Back at the mansion, Tracy poured herself a drink. "Well, I'll be damned," she muttered. "Monica, you just saved this family's fortune." Monica managed a weary smile. "I didn't do it for the money. I did it because Alan deserved honesty, and so does this family." Brooke Lynn joined them, shaking her head. "I can't believe it. How could people we trusted do this to us?" Tracy gave her a knowing look. "Because greed never really leaves Port Charles, darling. It just changes faces." The following day, the second suspect, Margaret Lynn, was arrested at the Port Charles Yacht Club. She had tried to flee using a private boat but was intercepted by Harbor Patrol. When confronted, she broke down in tears. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she sobbed. "We were supposed to adjust the estate, just small changes. But McAllister, he wanted more. He said no one would ever find the original." Anna's voice was cold. "You underestimated Monica Quartermaine. That was your mistake." The final arrest came 2 nights later. James McAllister, a former ELQ accountant turned consultant, was caught attempting to bribe a clerk in the city records office. Chase personally placed him in handcuffs, reading him his rights. "You forged a will, manipulated estate funds, and conspired to commit fraud. You're looking at a long sentence, McAllister." The man glared at him, defeated. "It wasn't just us," he muttered under his breath. Chase paused. "What did you say?" McAllister smirked faintly. "Ask Tracy Quartermaine how deep this really goes." Later, at the mansion, Tracy's phone rang. Anna's voice was sharp. "We need to talk." McAllister made a statement. "He mentioned your name." Tracy's eyes widened. "What? That's ridiculous." Anna continued. "He claims you authorized the release of certain ELQ funds that made the fraud possible. Care to explain?" Tracy exhaled heavily, struggling to stay calm. "I didn't know what he was doing. I thought it was a reallocation for a charity fund." "Damn it, Anna, I was trying to save the company." Anna's tone softened slightly. "Then you'd better hope the records support that, or this could get ugly." Monica listened quietly from the doorway after the call ended. "Tracy," she said softly, "did you really not know?" Tracy turned, guilt flickering in her eyes. "I swear, Monica, I didn't. I may play dirty, but I'd never steal from you." Monica studied her for a long moment before nodding. "I believe you." But from now on, everything stays transparent. No more secrets. Tracy gave a reluctant nod. Deal. Though I have to admit, you're tougher than I thought. Monica smiled faintly. You have no idea. As the case closed, the town of Port Charles buzzed with the news. 3 fraudsters arrested in Quartermaine estate scandal, read the headlines. The family gathered that evening for dinner, an uneasy peace settling among them. Brooklyn raised her glass. To Monica, for protecting what's rightfully ours. Monica chuckled softly. To honesty, she said, clinking glasses with them. And to Alan, who always believed truth would find its way home. Later that night, Monica sat by the fire, the original will safely locked away once more, but this time, with copies secured and witnessed by the court. As she gazed into the flames, she whispered to herself, you'd be proud, Alan. We did it. But just as she began to relax, a shadow moved outside the window, watching the Quartermaine matriarch in silence. Somewhere in the dark, a phone buzzed. A voice on the other end muttered, it's not over. The will was only part of it. The next morning, Anna arrived to check on Monica. We've secured everything, but McAllister's files hint at a larger conspiracy, she said. Monica frowned. What kind of conspiracy? Anna hesitated. He mentioned something about offshore accounts tied to ELQ subsidiaries, names we haven't seen before. We're still digging. Monica's expression hardened. Then keep digging. If someone else is pulling strings, I want to know who. As Anna left, Tracy entered, carrying a cup of tea. So, what now? Do we rebuild or prepare for round 2? Monica gave a small, tired smile. Both. The Quartermaines always rebuild, but we also never let our guard down. Tracy chuckled. That's the Monica I know. Ruthless when cornered. Monica nodded. I learned from the best, Edward and Alan. They'd want this family to survive, no matter what. Days later, the arrests made headlines again as the Port Charles District Attorney held a press conference. 3 individuals have been charged with conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery, and embezzlement involving the Quartermaine estate. Further investigation is ongoing. Reporters shouted questions, but Anna remained composed. In the crowd, Chase turned to her quietly. You think there's more? Anna replied, there's always more when the Quartermaines are involved. That evening, Monica placed a fresh rose beside Alan's portrait and whispered, justice is served, my love. But I can feel it, this isn't the end. Thunder rumbled outside, echoing through the grand old house as if the walls themselves knew more secrets were yet to come. The next morning, Monica awoke before sunrise, her mind racing with all that had happened. Even though the 3 fraudsters were behind bars, a gnawing unease lingered in her chest. She walked through the halls of the Quartermaine mansion, the early light filtering through the large windows, casting long shadows on the polished floors. Each room seemed to hold echoes of the past, memories of Alan, of battles fought for the family, and of secrets long buried. She paused in front of the study, where the original will had been found, running her fingers lightly over the edge of the desk. We've only scratched the surface, she whispered to herself. There's more they haven't told us. At the PCPD, Anna and Chase were already knee-deep in the investigation of McAllister's hidden files. Chase frowned at the spreadsheets, his eyes scanning the numbers. These accounts, they go offshore, but they're disguised under shell companies. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Anna tapped her pen against her notebook. And notice the names? They're all connected to people who've had dealings with ELQ in the past decade. It's a web of deception. Chase rubbed his temples. So, we caught the foot soldiers, but the masterminds are still out there. Anna nodded grimly. And they're probably watching every move we make. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Tracy had convened a small meeting with Monica, Ned, and Brooklyn. We can't let this go any further, Tracy began, pacing. If someone else was involved, they'll be coming back for the rest of the money. And the will isn't the only target. ELQ could be next. Ned ran a hand through his hair, clearly stressed. We need a plan, a real one, not just hiding documents and old portraits. Monica crossed her arms, her voice calm but firm. Ned's right. The family needs a coordinated approach. Security needs tightening, and all financial records must be audited. We can't leave any stone unturned. Brooklyn looked uneasy. And what about the fraudsters themselves? Are they going to talk in court? Monica's gaze hardened. They will, and they will answer for every lie and every dollar stolen. But we need to be prepared for surprises. There's always more when the Quartermaines are involved. Later that afternoon, Monica received a discreet call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was distorted, low, and menacing. You think you've won, Monica, but you haven't seen the half of it. The will was just a distraction. There are deeper secrets buried in ELQ, and some of them belong to you. Monica's hand tightened around the phone. Who is this? She demanded. Silence, then the line went dead. She exhaled slowly, realizing that the storm wasn't over. She glanced toward the study, her mind racing with possibilities. Someone was still playing a game with the family's fortune, and they weren't finished. At the same time, Chase and Anna traced more leads from McAllister's offshore accounts. Each discovery revealed more connections to other powerful figures in Port Charles, some of whom had ties to organized crime. This isn't just fraud, Chase muttered, leaning back in his chair. It's systemic, spanning decades. Anna's eyes narrowed. And it looks like someone has been orchestrating it from behind the scenes, making sure the right people stay silent. Chase exhaled sharply. Then we need to find the puppet master before they get to Monica or ELQ. That evening, Monica convened a private family meeting. Everyone gathered in the library, the air tense but resolute. Listen carefully, Monica began. The three fraudsters are behind bars, but this is only the beginning. Someone else is involved, someone smart, someone who has been using ELQ as a cover for their crimes. Tracy leaned forward. Do you have any idea who? Monica shook her head slowly. Do you think they know we're onto them? Monica nodded grimly. They do. And that's why we have to be one step ahead. At the P.O. Box stakeout, Dante, Chase, and Anna waited silently in the shadows. Hours passed with no sign of activity until a black SUV pulled up, its headlights off. A figure in a dark coat approached the box, glancing nervously around. Dante signaled to Chase, who quietly readied his camera and radio. The figure retrieved a small envelope and turned, only to freeze when a flashlight illuminated their face. Stop right there! Chase shouted. The figure bolted, but Dante and Chase quickly intercepted them. They removed the hood to reveal, surprise, the insider was none other than an ELQ accountant, a quiet, unassuming woman who had been working there for years. How did you know it was me? She stammered. We had the evidence, Dante replied calmly. And it's over now. You need to tell us everything, who you're working with and why. Back at the mansion, Monica waited anxiously for news. When Dante called with the update, relief flooded her. It's done. We have the insider in custody. She's cooperating, and we're getting the full picture. Monica exhaled, finally feeling a small sense of victory. Tracy, who had been hovering nearby, muttered, finally. I was starting to think this was never going to end. Monica shook her head, smiling faintly. It's never that simple in Port Charles, Tracy. But this is a start. The insider revealed a complex scheme. A network of individuals had been siphoning funds through offshore accounts, manipulating wills, and covering their tracks for years. Names were dropped, some familiar, some shocking. Monica listened carefully, her mind racing to process the betrayal and the magnitude of the fraud. We'll need to make sure these people are held accountable, she said firmly. No more secrets. No more lies. As the family gathered that night in the mansion, there was a cautious sense of relief. The three original fraudsters were behind bars, the insider had been unmasked, and the Quartermaines had regained control of ELQ. Monica raised her glass. to truth, she said quietly. It's been a long road, but the family stands strong. Tracy smirked, raising her glass. And may anyone who tries to cross us in the future think twice. Brooklyn added, I guess the lesson here is, never underestimate Monica Quartermaine. Monica smiled softly. Or any Quartermaine. We may bend, but we never break. Yet even in that moment of victory, Monica knew the shadows still lingered. The anonymous messages, the threats, the unknown figures watching from the dark, all of it reminded her that in Port Charles, peace was fleeting. She glanced at the fire, its flames dancing like silent watchers. We've won a battle, she murmured, but the war isn't over. Not by a long shot. Outside, the city buzzed with life, unaware of the quiet triumph and the dangers still lurking behind the mansion walls. Monica turned back to her family, determination shining in her eyes. No matter what comes next, she said, we face it together. Always. And in that moment, surrounded by the people she loved, she felt the first glimmer of hope in weeks, a hope that, for once, felt unbreakable. It had been an unusually tense week at General Hospital, but nothing could have prepared the residents of Port Charles for the bombshell that was about to drop. Monica Quartermaine had been dealing with her own share of chaos since the tragic passing of her husband, Alan, and the constant power struggle within the Quartermaine family. For years, there had been whispers of missing documents, mysterious legal loopholes, and people trying to manipulate the Quartermaine fortune. However, the truth was finally beginning to emerge, and it all started when an original copy of Monica's will was discovered, hidden away in a location that no one could have imagined. This single discovery would change everything, not only for the Quartermaine family but for several others who had tried to take advantage of Monica's trust. Within days, the discovery would expose 3 fraudsters, leading to a wave of arrests and a scandal that would shake the entire town. Ned Quartermaine had been the first to receive a call from Monica's attorney, Diane Miller, who had been reviewing old estate files. Diane's tone was sharp, her words clipped, and Ned knew right away that something significant had been uncovered. Ned, you might want to sit down, Diane had said over the phone. I think I just found Monica's original will, the one that was never filed with the probate court after Alan's passing. And Ned, it doesn't match the version that's been on record. Those words hit Ned like a punch to the gut. For months, he had suspected that something about the estate paperwork didn't add up, but he had assumed it was just bureaucratic confusion. Now, he realized someone had tampered with the documents for personal gain. Within an hour, he was at Diane's office, where she showed him the sealed envelope marked in Monica's handwriting, dated years before. The will inside contained specific bequests, detailed allocations to family members, and a set of strict conditions for how the Quartermaine estate should be managed, conditions that had been suspiciously missing in the current version. Meanwhile, at the Quartermaine mansion, Brooklyn was pacing the foyer when Ned returned home, visibly shaken. What happened, Dad? You look like you've seen a ghost, she said. Ned took a deep breath, holding up the folder Diane had given him. It's Monica's original will. The real one. Someone switched it out years ago. Brooklyn's eyes widened, the implications immediately hitting her. You mean, someone forged it? Who would do that? Ned's expression hardened. That's exactly what we're going to find out. As the two stood in silence, Tracy entered from the living room, her sharp eyes instantly narrowing at the sight of the folder. Well, she said coolly. Looks like Diane finally earned her paycheck. Ned shot her a look. This isn't funny, Mother. Someone's been defrauding the family, and I intend to find out who. Tracy folded her arms. Don't waste your energy accusing me, Ned. I've done a lot of things in my time, but forging Monica's will isn't one of them. You'd better look closer to home. Across town, at the Metro Court, Lucy Coe was meeting with a pair of individuals who had recently become fixtures around the Port Charles business scene, Brent Keeler, a smooth-talking investor, and Melissa Rhodes, a supposed estate consultant. Both had been charming, persuasive, and extremely interested in the Quartermaine holdings. Lucy, always alert to opportunity, had introduced them to various local figures, but she had also grown suspicious of their motives. You two seem awfully interested in Monica's foundation funds, Lucy remarked casually as she sipped her drink. Melissa smiled, trying to mask her discomfort. Just due diligence, Lucy. You know how these things go. But Lucy had already noticed inconsistencies in their stories and had begun digging quietly. What she discovered made her blood run cold. Both Brent and Melissa had previously worked with a disbarred lawyer named Curtis Mallory, who specialized in falsifying estate documents for wealthy clients. When Lucy learned that Monica's legal files had been accessed by someone under a fake court order years earlier, everything began to click into place. Back at the hospital, Monica sat in her office, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. She had been reviewing patient records when Elizabeth Weber knocked on her door. "Dr. Quartermaine, are you okay? You look tired." Monica gave a weary smile. "I'm fine, Elizabeth. Just old ghosts catching up with me." A few hours later, Diane arrived at the hospital with Ned in tow, the folder in her hand. "Monica, we found something that belongs to you," Diane said softly. As Monica opened the envelope and began reading the will, tears filled her eyes. "I remember writing this," she whispered. "Alan and I spent weeks going over every detail. But this version wasn't what the lawyer read after his death." Diane nodded. "Someone intercepted it. They replaced your original with a forged one." Monica's voice trembled as she asked, "Who would do such a thing?" Ned's jaw tightened. "That's what we intend to find out, and we won't stop until we do." Word of the discovery spread quickly. Within 24 hours, the Port Charles Police Department had assigned Detective Dante Falconeri to the case. Dante, working alongside Anna Devane, began digging through court filings, estate transfers, and bank transactions linked to the Quartermaine Trust. What they found was shocking. 3 names kept surfacing: Brent Keeler, Melissa Rhodes, and Curtis Mallory. The trio had used forged court orders and falsified signatures to reroute funds from the Quartermaine Trust into offshore accounts. Over the years, they had siphoned off millions under the guise of charitable management fees. Anna, furious, ordered an immediate sting operation. "If they think they can rob a Quartermaine and walk away clean, they've got another thing coming," she said sharply. The sting was set at the Metro Court, where Brent and Melissa were scheduled to meet with a supposed investor, who was, in reality, an undercover officer. Dante and Anna watched from a nearby suite as the conversation unfolded. Brent bragged about upcoming estate adjustments and mentioned tying up loose ends with the Quartermaine situation. That was all Anna needed to hear. She gave the order, and within minutes, officers flooded the room. "Brent Keeler, Melissa Rhodes, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and embezzlement," Dante declared as the two were handcuffed. As the officers led them out, Lucy appeared in the hallway, arms crossed and expression triumphant. "Guess you won't be needing that estate consultant job anymore," she said dryly. Down at the station, the final piece of the puzzle fell into place when Curtis Mallory, confronted with evidence, confessed to his role in the scheme, naming Brent and Melissa as the masterminds. When the news reached the Quartermaine mansion, the atmosphere was electric. Tracy smirked with satisfaction. "Well, I'll be damned. Someone actually tried to out-scheme the Quartermaines and got caught." Ned shook his head. "This isn't funny, Mother. They nearly cost this family everything Monica and Alan built." Monica, seated near the fireplace, was quiet for a long moment before finally speaking. "I trusted too many people. But I suppose that's what Alan loved about me. I believed there was good in everyone." Brooke Lynn squeezed her grandmother's hand. "You still have that good heart, Granny. Don't let them take that from you." Monica smiled faintly. "Don't worry, dear. The Quartermaines may fall down, but we always rise again." In the following days, Port Charles was buzzing with gossip. Everyone from Carly Spencer to Ava Jerome had their own opinion on the scandal. Carly, talking to Sam McCall at Kelly's, shook her head. "I can't believe anyone would be dumb enough to mess with the Quartermaines. Tracy alone could eat those crooks alive." Sam nodded. "Still, it's scary. Makes you wonder how many other wills or trusts in this town have been tampered with." Over at the police station, Anna held a press conference confirming the arrests and thanking the Quartermaine family for their cooperation. "We've recovered the missing funds and located the authentic documents," she said. "Justice will be served." Diane, meanwhile, was hard at work restoring the legal order. With the original will now validated by the court, Monica's estate plan was reinstated. That meant certain distributions and board seats would change, much to the frustration of some members of the family. "So let me get this straight," Tracy said with irritation during a family meeting. "You're telling me that under the original will, my voting shares revert to Ned?" Diane nodded. "Correct. That's how Monica and Alan intended it." Tracy groaned. "Well, isn't that just poetic justice?" Brooklyn chuckled softly. "Don't worry, Granny Tracy. You'll find another way to meddle soon enough." Tracy rolled her eyes, though a small smile betrayed her amusement. "Don't tempt me." As for Monica, she took solace in knowing that the truth had finally come out. She stood by Alan's portrait in the living room one evening, speaking softly as if he could hear her. "We did it, Alan. They tried to take what was ours, but we stopped them. And maybe now, this family can have some peace." Outside, the autumn wind rustled the trees, and for a brief moment, Monica felt a sense of closure she hadn't known in years. But in Port Charles, peace never lasts long. Later that night, as Ned reviewed some financial reports in the study, his phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "You may have caught the pawns, but the real game isn't over." Ned froze, the color draining from his face. He immediately showed the message to Monica and Brooklyn. "Looks like there's more to this," he said grimly. Monica frowned. "You think there's someone else behind the fraud?" Ned nodded. "Someone with access, someone who still has a stake in this." Brooklyn bit her lip nervously. "You think it's someone in the family?" Ned didn't answer, but his silence said enough. The following morning, Dante returned with a new lead. During the interrogation, Curtis Mallory had mentioned a mysterious silent partner who financed the forgery operation, a woman with ties to a major Port Charles company. Anna's team traced several payments to a shell corporation linked to none other than Tracy's old business associate, Irene Foster, who had vanished years ago after embezzling from ELQ. "Looks like Irene's back in the picture," Anna said. "And she's got a grudge to settle." Monica sighed heavily. "Then I guess our battle isn't over yet." But unlike before, Monica wasn't afraid. She had her family, her truth, and now her will restored. The legacy she and Alan built was safe, at least for the moment. By the end of the week, the Quartermaine mansion had once again become the center of Port Charles drama, but this time, it was for all the right reasons. Reporters gathered outside, praising Monica for standing strong amid the scandal. Inside, the family toasted to justice being served, with Ned raising his glass. "To Monica, our matriarch, our heart, and the reason this family keeps fighting." Monica smiled warmly. "To all of us," she replied. "Because no matter how many times we're tested, the Quartermaines endure." But even as laughter filled the room, one person watched from the shadows, a figure standing just beyond the gate, unseen by the family. The faint glow of a phone illuminated their face as they whispered, "Enjoy your victory, Monica. It won't last." With that, the figure disappeared into the